In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how you can safely press a pass parallel limb bow in an LCA style press without the special adapters. But before I do that, I'm going to go over some basic press geometry. So on press fingers, they generally angle inward, and that's to give you reach to the limb tip without binding up on the limbs or accessories here. But what you notice is the pressing surfaces themselves are basically vertical. And the reason they're vertical is because the forces on this press move linear, horizontal. So you want this surface to be as close to vertical as possible so that the bow doesn't try to shift up or down. So if this surface was angled back, when you tried to press a bow, it would just slide down. Similarly, if this surface is angled back too much, when you press on it, the bow would try to slip up. So you want to try to get this surface as close to vertical as possible. That way it neither has a tendency to slide down or slide up. So having said that, I'm going to go ahead and adjust my fingers to where they're basically vertical. And I actually have lines on my knobs so that I can tell when they're synchronized. So the problem with a pass parallel limb bow is that this surface is on a negative angle. So even though this is vertical, this surface is not. So when you put this bow in this press, you can see that it can easily try to slide down and away from those fingers. So the solution to that problem is to block the riser so it can't slip downward. I'm going to go ahead and tighten this up a little bit. Okay, so even though the angle is negative here and the bow would normally try to slip downward, it can't because it's supported underneath. I've seen people use a camera tripod under the riser. Not sure that's a great idea because it doesn't keep the bow from pivoting this way. One side could go down, the other side could go up. This is very secure. When we start pressing that, so the bow actually slipped down a little bit when I did that, but now everything's tight, and we can see that we're now have the string relaxed, and that bow is safely pressed. Can't go anywhere. It's not going to shoot out the bottom. But let's say we needed to break it the whole way down. So we'll drop the string, the bus. Control cable. So as I start to relax this, we still have these negative angles, but we're staying basically, the riser's not going up or down at this point because of the way the limb is flexing. So these will basically just stay snug. And you want to make sure that you have your block set far enough to the left because the bow is going to travel to the left as the press expands. Alright, so once we get to right about here, we're out of the danger zone now, because now we have a parallel limb bow. The limb tip is no longer at a negative angle. This is at a positive angle, so doesn't have any tendency to slip down. And the same thing here. So now we can come off of this. We really don't need these in here anymore. I'm going to leave them in there because I need them when I repress it to put it back together. But from that point, you can safely go ahead and treat this just like any other bow in an LCA press. And there we go. Completely pressed, limbs are completely relaxed, ready to take apart, do a cam swap, limb swap, whatever you need to do. So we're just going to go ahead and put this back together. Going to give myself a little room under here. And we'll just go ahead and recompress that bow and restring it. See, as it's compressing, it's moving downward and toward the blocking. Now we're starting to get into the critical area again, where this limb is starting to move past parallel, but we're also very close to our block, so we don't have to worry about it slipping downward. Alright, so I'm not sure how close I am there, but we'll go ahead and hook everything back up. Alright. And there we go. All put back together. No problem.